Hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm JC from the Do Good Letters, where I talk about things in awkward manners because I'm awkward. Today's awkward discussion will be about white privilege and Jeffrey Dahmer. So, I like to watch American Horror Story. What does that have to do with this? Well, just be quiet and listen, okay? Because I'm talking, all right? Thank you. So, the creator of American Horror Story is going to be doing a series with Netflix surrounding Jeffrey Dahmer. It is going to be called Monster and is actually going to be from the perspective of the victims. And it will also show the times, I think they said there's like up to 10 times where he really should have been captured and arrested. So, what I'm going to do right at this moment is I'm going to do a little screen sharing with talking about the show here for a moment. Maybe not. Where am I going? Where am I? Help. Help. Oh, I got to hit share. I always forget about that. Let's see. Got it. And I want to share this one. So, right here in deadline.com, there's other articles too, but just highlighting this one really quickly. It says Monster chronicles the story of one of America's most notorious serial killers, largely told from the point of view of Dahmer's victims. And it dives deeply into the police incompetence and apathy that allowed the Wisconsin native to go on a multi-year killing spree. The series dramatizes at least 10 instances. And this is where I was like, I'm sorry, what? 10? 10? Where Dahmer was almost apprehended, but ultimately let go. The series also is expected to touch on white privilege, as Dahmer, a clean-cut, good-looking white guy, was repeatedly given a free pass by cops, as well as by judges who were lenient when he had been charged with petty crimes. So, what I'm going to focus on today is, I don't even know if that was large enough or not, but if it wasn't, oh well, I'll put the link down below and you can read it for yourself. So I'm going to talk about a certain instance that happened with Glenda Childress and her daughter and her niece when they saw a 14-year-old boy. His name was Konerak Synthesome is how I've heard it pronounced. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. You know, I'm Ron a little bit. So I'm going to share with you that instance and hopefully maybe make this into a series to have further discussion. So say hopefully. That sounds so wrong, doesn't it? That sounds wrong too. But yeah, hope and talking about someone who's horrible just sounds a little incorrect. Okay, so I will begin with the story of that night when a 14-year-old boy was given back to Dahmer, and then he killed him. Good job, cops. All right, let's see. I'm going to be sharing the article, and then I will be sharing some video clips. I am sorry about the wobbliness. I tried to elevate my computer so I don't show my double chin, but I might make you guys vomit in the meantime, and I apologize because my vanity is more important than your health. All right. Believe this is it. Let's see. Can I make that any bigger? I think at first I'll make it bigger. Let's try. Can we try that way? There we go. We'll try that way so you can read along. All right, I thought I had it. There we go. This is from the Chicago Tribune. So, it describes the night. It was shortly after midnight, and Sandra Smith, 18, and her cousin, 17-year-old Nicole Childress, were outside their apartment building on Milwaukee's near West Side. They said they saw an Asian boy running north on 25th Street, dazed, naked, bleeding from the buttocks, with cuts and scrapes on his body. And then I saw Jeff trying to lure him back to his house, Smith said of Dahmer. Childress called the cops. Jeff told us there was no need for the police, Smith recalled. He said, "This is my friend Jim." But the young woman knew better. The boy was Konerak Smith. Oh, yep. I am so sorry. Synothosome. Oh my God, I'm going to edit that out. I apologize. That is horrible. A member of Laotian family who 10 years ago fled their strife-torn country for peace and opportunity in the U.S. Ironically, sickeningly, he was also the brother of a boy who 3 years ago was sexually assaulted by Dahmer, a one-man nightmare in the family's American dream. I did not realize that. Oh my goodness. So 2 times he violated that family. Oh, okay, moving on. When police arrived at 25th Street early in the morning of May 27th, Dahmer told them that Konerak was 19 years old, that he was a house guest who had too much to drink, and that he was his lover. Even if that were true, okay? Let's see. Even if that were true, let's say he was 19 of age. He wasn't, though, right? He was a child, 14. He was naked, appeared impaired, and, pardon me, bleeding. And he ran outside. I think that would warrant just talking to him. And you would think they would, but I don't think they did. All right, back to the article. So, yeah, the boy, really 14 years old, was reportedly naked and impaired by drugs or alcohol, and police believed Dahmer's story. Of course they did. Smith and Childress tried to tell the officers that the boy was in trouble, but they refused to listen, telling the citizens to get lost. How kind. Smith charged. One of them said to me, "I've been investigating for 7 years, and I don't need an amateur telling me what to do." Well, apparently you do, because he was murdered, jerk. So the officers then pursued their probe, telling the boy, whom one police source described as incoherent at the time, to sit on the car. They talked only with Dahmer. Soon satisfied, they left, and Konerak walked off with a man who would kill him. As for the witnesses, they weren't finished. So not only did they call the police when this boy ran out to them, the next day their mom still followed up because she wasn't satisfied with what happened, and still was trying to get this kid help. Do you think that worked? No. And might I add that the individuals, the witnesses who saw this, obviously witnesses saw, and who called multiple times and asked for help, were Black. So that's a significant factor. And not getting this individual the help he needed, where Dahmer was later allowed to kill him. So let's see. Back to large. All right. The 2 young women told Smith's mother, Glenda Cleveland, about the incident, and she called the station to check on the boy. They said they had taken care of the matter, that it was an argument between 2 lovers, and that Konerak wasn't a child, Cleveland said. I mean, they should have proved that. They should have gone to his address, checked his license, checked his identification. If he didn't have any, they should have called into dispatch or whatever they did in those days. Figured it out. You don't just go by one side of the story. Or at least you shouldn't. So it says days later, however, when Cleveland read in the newspaper that Konerak was reported missing, she called the police again. So this is now 3 times for the same incident for the same little boy trying to save his life. The police said they would send somebody out to talk to me, referring to Cleveland, whoever was available, but they never did, she said. Even a call to the FBI in Milwaukee proved fruitless, Cleveland said. So that's call number 4. 3 to the police, 1 to the FBI. Asked why the police didn't listen to her story, Smith said, I think it was prejudice because Jeff and they were white. The boy was Asian and we were black. And I completely agree. So just to give more perspective, here we go. We'll do my face again. Put that off so I won't get confused. We are going to read a little article from the New York Times, written in August 26, 1991, by the Associated Press. The title is Officer Defends Giving Boy Back to Dahmer. All right, I'm going to scroll down and share with you. Oh, got to do that screen share again. Keep forgetting. It's like, I'm glad it's quite a few clicks, but at the same time it is slightly annoying. Okay, where's the article? This is not a time to joke, JC. Stop it. All right, so it says about the article, it's a digitized version of an article from the Times print archive before the start of online publication in 1996. To preserve these articles as they originally appeared, the Times does not alter, edit, blah, 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 blah. Okay, moving on. So I haven't entirely, I started to read this, but I did not finish because I guess I just wanted to do it awkwardly live on YouTube. Okay, a police officer suspended, and again, this is in regards to the police officer who gave the boy back to Dahmer. The child, 14-year-old. Okay, a police officer suspended for returning a 14-year-old Laotian boy to Jeffrey Dahmer, who has since admitted killing 17 people, said he had agonized over he might have prevented the boy's death. Lord, probably do your job. God as my witness, I just didn't dump a little boy in the hands of a murderer. That's not what happened. The officer, Joseph T. Gabrish, told the Milwaukee Journal in a story published today. Let's see. I wanted to get more of his perspective. It says Officer Gabrish, 28 years old, a patrolman for 7 years, said he and the officers believed there was a caring relationship between Dahmer and the Laotian boy and saw no reason to intervene, other than him being underage, number 1, him being naked, number 2, bleeding, number 3, and him being impaired, number 4. Other than that, I agree there was no reason. We're trained to be observant and spot things, he said. Well, you need to go back to Blue's Clues because there was just nothing that stood out, or we would have seen it, really. I've been doing this for a while, and that is scary that you have, sir. And usually, if something stands out, you'll spot it. There just wasn't anything there. Okay, we are going to go to the interview for let's see. Pardon me, my insufficiency. Let's go back to just me. There we are. Okay, I'm going to play a recording of the, sorry, I'm trying to just make sure I'm getting everything in order, which I should have had. Let's see. Is this the same one? Okay, I'm gonna share some videos on here so you can see. I think one is an interview with Childress, I believe, one of the young ladies who called for help for the Laotian boy, Konerak. One is going to be a police recording of not only Childress calling to make sure that that boy was a boy, he did get help, she saw his missing photograph, what are the police doing about it? And then there'll be some video on the trial itself and the police officer defending himself, I guess you could say. And I think there's a video clip as well of, pardon me, of the police discussing the incident on dispatch and how very considerate they spoke of the situation. Okay, let's go to this one first. Share. Okay. Maybe not. I apologize. One day I'm going to be really good at this, but that day is not today. All right, here we are. Hopefully, do I have that on? Just trying to make that. There you go.
Okay, hi. I'm on 25th and State, and this is young man. He is butt naked. He has been beaten up. He's very bruised up. He can't stand. He's study fall out. He's butt naked. He has no clothes on. He was really hurt. And I ain't got no cord on him. I just seen him, and he needs some help.
Where is he at?
25th and State, the corner of 25th and State.
I saw him sitting on the.
Okay, that was them calling for help originally. And this is Dahmer's explanation of the incident that night.
Sidewalk, two girls were with him. They called the police. And I to think of the story quickly. They told him he was a friend. He was drunk. He was not wanting to go back. So one officer grabbed him by this arm, another officer grabbed him on the other arm, and they walked him up to the apartment. And they left.
They walked him up to the apartment. Front door service to your death. Thank you very much.
That's when I gave the second right away. How long did it take for the guy? That was a meeting.
An intoxicated boyfriend of another boyfriend.
How old was this child?
It wasn't a child, it was an adult.
That was the recording, part of the recording of Childress calling back and following up with the incident with the boy, Konerak.
Intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend.
I'm just going to replay that because you can hear the officers so kindly laughing in the background.
Intoxicated Asian naked male was returned to his sober boyfriend, and we're tonight.
How very kind, efficient, and very dutiful of their job. Isn't that horrible? They walked a 14-year-old helpless boy who had escaped his death. They just said, yeah, no, we're not going to investigate this. We're just going to bring him right back. There's no excuse for that. All right, let me see the other one. I think I believe this has a little portion about Mrs. Cleveland. It's like a little news clip. Doesn't have much of her, but more her neighbors describing her, but I just kind of want to give you the whole picture. All right. Once again. And here we go.
Through the alley as he tried to escape Dahmer.
What if he's a child and not an adult? I mean, are you positive this is an adult?
You can hear her voice of concern when police tried to assure her it was just a lover's spat. Konerak was one of Dahmer's 17 victims. Weiss and his friend Lewis Jones says Cleveland never talked about it with them.
She was a real nice person. She had a beautiful personality.
Weiss and Jones say they are going to miss Cleveland, and while they only knew her for about a year.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop that because it mainly want to show you the audio portion of her calling the police back saying, are you sure it was an adult? We all think it was a child. And they're like, no, it was an adult. Okay, if you have people calling multiple times, maybe it is an adult, but as a public servant, should you not investigate it further, especially if you're having multiple calls concerning the age of a potential victim? Just what's the harm in just checking? What's the harm in just checking it out? You got to walk? That doesn't seem harmful. All right. Now, thought I had the trial too. Okay, I believe this is one of the either the niece or the daughter, her interview, which I haven't seen the full thing. I just started it, describing the events of that night. We are going to share. Here we go. Make it bigger.
Right up on him. I'm trying to threaten him to, let him go. Like, we're gonna bust you in your stuff. Turn him loose. He don't want to be with you. Leave him alone. And then my cousin's like, just get out of it. It's none of your business. I said, but still, he needs help. I said, look at him doing like they gave him some dope or something.
Spivey's friend called police. By the time they arrived, Dahmer had allegedly carried Citizen phone to this alley just off the 25th and State. But Spivey says the two officers quickly asked them to leave.
Bush and his 4 immediate predecessors are gathering today in California for the...
Okay, so you see that where she's describing that he was needing help. It looked like he was intoxicated, drugged, something, and they were trying to put themselves on the line and get him the help that he needed. So I'm gonna pardon my typing here, but I know I found a clip with Dahmer on trial and the police officer on that gave the boy back on trial. I thought I had it up, but I don't think I do. Let me see if I can search for it really quickly. Okay.
27.
Okay. So again, this is the police officer that was involved in handing Konerak back to Dahmer, and this is him testifying at Dahmer's trial. So we're gonna screen share again. This is just crazy to me how all this occurred. All right, Make sure I've got it full. I do. Pull this up for you and play.
1991, you were a City of Milwaukee police officer, is that correct?
That's correct.
You pulled into that alley with your squad lights on,
The headlights of the squad car were on, yes.
and you got out of the car.
That's correct.
What did you do after you got out of the car? What did you see and what did you do?
I exited the car. I was the passenger of the car. There was a group of people in the alley, and they were all pointing to a white male and a second Asian male who was naked just east of our location.
I understand why he's doing this, that he's, very logistical oriented, being a police officer and making sure he can get through every detail. But really, why do we care about whether you're east, north, passenger or not? That's not the point, and you know it. And also, if you paid attention to all of those details, remembered all of those details, why in the world did you not investigate further on this person? You said you didn't spot anything different, but you knew which direction you were facing, and you remembered the detail on whether you were a passenger, and you can't remember, or not that you can't remember, but this person is claiming that there was nothing standing out that was different to investigate further on whether or not this person really wanted to go back with Dahmer and what his age was.
The alley. My partner came up to me and told me that he had obtained information from the white male to whom he was talking to. And basically that the Asian male's name was John Hamong and that he was 20.
But they didn't fact check that. They didn't determine if that was really his name. They didn't determine whether or not that was really his age. And they didn't talk to Konerak. They didn't talk to him.
Years old, and that he had been staying with him for the last, I believe he said 2 to 3 weeks.
Had been staying with whom?
With Mr. Dahmer. He also had obtained Dahmer's name at that point, Officer Perupkin.
Yeah, they obtained Dahmer's name, but not obtained the correct name of the child.
Myself and the Asian male and Jeffrey Dahmer began walking toward the rear of the apartment. While we walked back to the apartment, Mr. Dahmer spoke of the crime in the neighborhood and how bad he thought it was. He said he was glad that the police were in the neighborhood and that there was a need for the police. I believe he may have been smoking a cigarette during that time.
Who else can do that? Who else can sit there, walk with the police officers with a butt-naked bleeding boy, smoking a cigarette, giving them the story that they don't check to see if it's accurate, and taunt the police and talk about the crime and how they're doing a good job, and specifically talking about the crime in the neighborhood. And that didn't make them ring a bell, or perhaps it did ring a bell with them. Yeah, there is a lot of crime in this neighborhood, but surely it couldn't be this white guy doing it. Or did they suspect and didn't care? What do you think? All right, let's go back to the video.
As we got near to the apartment building, it's the rear of the apartment building, obviously, he spoke of the need for extra locks on his apartment and that he had a security system because of the crime and the nature of the neighborhood.
He showed you up to his apartment.
Correct.
And he convinced you that you could go about your business, that he had everything under control.
We were convinced that all was well.
They were convinced that all was well. They went into his apartment, didn't look around to see if perhaps they could get further answers just by his environment. There were parts of people in his apartment. Again, never talked to Konerak, never talked to the boy, never asked him, do you want to be here? Saw a person that was impaired, so that would be enough to determine, I don't think this person can correctly speak for themselves. Perhaps we should aid him back home until he has a more clear head. Even just that alone, no. We're able to go into Dahmer's apartment and only hear his side, not investigate his apartment further, and again, give the kid back to him. I never knew all this. I was a child whenever this occurred, so of course I didn't know a lot about it. But what I have learned as an adult, I still didn't realize all of the very assertive attempts to bring Dahmer's attention to authorities. And they just wouldn't listen. I'm just amazed and appalled. All right, let's finish the rest of this.
There wasn't anything that you saw that could for one moment have caused you to believe that there was any problem at all, correct? There was nothing.
Yeah, you should feel
Mr.
uncomfortable.
Dahmer told me that after the police left,
I love
he
this
gave
guy.
a second injection of muriatic acid, and that proved fatal. But even then, he was attempting to carry out the plan to create a zombie. His words were, then I gave him the second injection of muriatic acid, and that was fatal. I didn't intend it to be, but it was.
That psychologist is super cool. I could do a whole, and I probably will, video or series on him. Dr. Dietz, I believe his name is. If you want to Google him, he not only interviewed Dahmer, but several other serial killers. And he also has kind of mapped out the behavior and indicators for people who were involved in mass shootings. He did so and worked with a lot of people after the incidents of Columbine. He's just a very fascinating, intelligent person, in my opinion. And yeah, that was him. So I really like psychology, if you can't tell, and I'm interested in psychology and also sociology, which brings us back to the interesting but yet devastating facts that there were plenty of chances where this boy could have and should have been saved. He literally was in the arms of the police, and they handed him back to a murderer. And the differences here are that the murderer was white, the victim was Asian, and the witnesses were Black. So I believe white privilege was definitely a factor in him, Dahmer, being able to elude the police. Let me know down below respectfully what your thoughts are, and we will be doing more videos about this soon. We being just me. No one else is here. I'm not really sure why I said that. So make sure to subscribe, notify, so that you can always see my awkwardness, and I'll see you on the flippity flip.